Okay, thanks again for showing up today. Today, basically, we're going to go ahead and cover the topic of lead follow-up. Essentially, lead follow-up, Mike says, may be one of the most underrated steps in the sale and the cause of the most loss of business. So it's basically the most underrated step. Well, what does Mike mean by underrated step? Basically, what we're talking about here is that when you are doing all of the things you're supposed to do, whether it be prospecting at the open house or on the phones or however it is you're doing it, and you get a lead, we spend a lot of time getting the lead. We spend a lot of time doing the open house, we spend a lot of time on the phone, we spend a lot of time doing mailings or whatever it is you're doing to generate business. But then when that phone rings, there's the breakdown. And Mike says that's the major cause of us losing a lot of business. And when we're trying to get 25 more deals per year, then we need to try and stop losing as many as we can. There's a lot of programs out there. Lead Buddy comes to mind. You've got Lead Buddy. You've got Mojo, Top Producer, Outlook. I mean, you name it, there's a program for lead follow-up that or could be used for lead follow-up. There's tickler files, you name it, there are programs out there that we can use. But the problem is that we don't use many or if any systems at all. And so what we need to do is try and come up with a coherent way to where we can take the leads that you sweated all this time to get, and once you've got them, go ahead and make it to where it's meaningful to where you can keep in touch with them. Now, to add these 25 deals to annual production, we really got to become a master of lead follow-up, okay? We're talking about skills and mastery here. We talked about the fact that you have to become a master in prospecting. Well, in this case, you really need to become a master of lead follow-up. So great, that's wonderful. But how do we do that? Well, let's just use the following ideas. The first, remember, number one, that selling is a numbers game. Any way you look at it, any way you slice it, selling is simply nothing more than a numbers game. If you're going to talk to a certain amount of people, you're going to get a certain amount of response. If you're looking at it as a funnel, we always talk about the sales funnel. The more people you talk to, there's a certain amount that will fall down into and say that they are leads. And then once you have those amount of people, then you go ahead and follow up with them, and a certain amount of those will become appointments, and then a certain amount of those will become contracts signed. Okay? Well, the thing is, no matter what you do, you have to understand that this is 1 does not equal 1 does not equal 1. Okay? It doesn't mean one prospect equals one lead equals one sale. You're going to have to go through a lot of people here to get a few leads, to get a couple of appointments, to get one contract signed. How that works out depends on your efficiencies. Okay? So remember, selling is a numbers game. The next thing is that you need to understand that really when we're talking about lead follow-up, okay, my objective is to turn leads, okay, into appointments. That's your whole objective here, okay? And to turn them into appointments as soon as possible, all right? Now, we talked about this in some of the other courses. We've said that, okay, when we're prospecting, the purpose of prospecting, okay, the whole purpose of prospecting was to find a lead. We said that marketing was simply to find a lead, okay, to get the phone to ring. In this case, the prospecting that you do, whether it be on the phone or an open house, mailers, however it is you prospect, when you're prospecting, your whole job is to get the lead. Now, during your lead follow-up, the whole purpose of getting that lead is to go ahead and make an appointment, okay, and to do it quickly, all right? If they're motivated, okay, then that's who you want. You want to get a hold of them really quick. And the key to finding a quality lead, okay, is to find out what their motivation to do something is and their ability to do it, okay? So remember, it's really key. First is their motivation, and then second, okay, is their ability. Okay, so let's take this into the real world. You have a for sale by owner or a buyer who says that they want to buy a home. Great example. Want to buy a home. And I want to buy a home in the next 90 days. So what are the reasons why you want to buy a home? Well, the reason why I want to buy a home is because I want something a little bit larger. My wife is pregnant and we need something for the baby. Okay, great. All right. Now let's talk about your qualifications. Can you get a loan? Well, no, I can't. I'm a fry cook at McDonald's and I just lost my job. Well, you don't have the ability. If you do not have the ability to do something, you can have all the motivation in the world. But if you don't have the ability, what difference does it make? You can have all the ability in the world. You can be, a corporation leader or whatever it is. But if your motivation level is low, you're only going to do something if it actually makes sense or if it actually is the way you want it, okay? Then the odds are that your lead is of no value. So you have to be able to discern very quickly who you can turn into an appointment. The next thing, keeping poor leads, okay? Keeping poor leads buries the good ones. Now here's the deal. This is something it took a long time for me to understand, is that there are lots of leads available and that keeping leads, okay, keeping leads simply buries the good ones. Now, to prove my point, if I told you that if you needed to get a contract signed by the end of next week, or you would lose your real estate license forever, I would be willing to bet that you could find 1 million different leads and 1 million different people right away, okay? You would find for sale by owners, you would find expireds, you would find just listed, just solds, you would find sign calls, you would find open houses, you could do ads, you could door knock, you could go on Craigslist. I mean, that's just right off the top of my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and hey, let's throw in mail. That's 10. That's 10 sources that we identified that you could find business in within less than 20 seconds. So the fact is there are no lack of leads out there. There's no lack of that, okay? It's not like nobody's selling or buying a home. They're all over the place. 1,200 homes a month sell, for God's sake. That means that there's 2,400 people per month who make a decision about what they want to do. All you want is just 1 or 2. It's not like you're wanting a whole bunch. But the trick is you have to be able to get rid of the ones who are not motivated and get rid of them quickly, because it buries the good leads and make them hard to find. Or, okay, it kills the time. Kills the time that you have to find good ones, okay? So there's 2 important parts here. Number 1, you have to discern a way to get rid of the bad leads quick, or set an appointment. When you're doing your lead follow-up, it's crucial that you understand that the people you're dealing with either are motivated and have the ability, or they are not motivated or have the ability. If they are not, you have to get rid of them. Because if you don't get rid of them, look, it's not like a plant, okay? You're not going to put it in the ground, and you're not going to, keep pouring water on it, keep pouring water on it, keep touching base, keep talking to them, and then all of a sudden it's going to turn into a listing or a sale. It's just not going to work, okay? If they don't want to sell today, then they're not going to want to sell tomorrow. And this whole concept that we have that lead follow-up through long-term follow-up, we're going to be able to convert a non-motivated lead into a motivated lead is the most ridiculous thing I think you could ever think of as a human being. The fact is, keeping leads, if they're not motivated, buries the good ones, the one that will do something. And it kills the time. Because through excessive lead follow-up of the bad people who are not going to do anything, it kills the time that you could spend through all these sources finding someone who can actually do something. So that's the next thing that you need to be aware of. Now, something you want to keep in mind. There's a book I read, and if you have a pen, I'll go ahead and I'll give it to you. It's a really good book. It's called A Shark Never Sleeps. It's called A Shark Never Sleeps. Let me see if I can write this down here. A Shark Never Sleeps. The author's name on that is Drew Nosenhaus, if I remember correctly. Drew is his first name, and I believe it's Nosenhaus. Nozenhaus. Nosenhaus. Okay? In his book, okay, he discusses the fact that as a salesperson, okay, he can never sleep. He has to be like a shark. If a shark, even when they're sleeping, they always are moving because they don't have the ability to really sit in one place. They always have to move to get the water through their gills so they can breathe. And it's the same thing with us. We always have to be in that motivation, that movement, going through, looking through the people that we have who are really going to do something all the time. We have to be thinking about that. Because if we don't, then we're going to miss out on that potential person. Because this brings me to the next point, number D, if you will. Okay, the fourth point, poor leads will ruin my attitude. Poor leads will ruin my attitude, okay, and diminish my desire to do any kind of prospecting at all right? So think about it this way. You're sitting there doing your presentation. I'm sorry, you're doing your prospecting. You find a lead, which is, like we said, easy to do. You found yourself a lead, and now it's time to go ahead and do your lead follow-up. And you're making your calls, and you're making your calls, and you're making your calls, and you talk to these people over and over and over, and all you hear is, no, 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 we're never going to do anything, stop calling us, blah, blah, blah. Pretty soon, you're going to throw your hands up and say, what the hell's the point of actually calling? It's ridiculous. Why should I even bother? It ruins your attitude, okay, and it makes it even harder for you to do more prospecting. Because why in the world would you want to do more prospecting, okay, if all you're going to get is more of the same? Think about it this way. Back at that funnel, okay, you're prospecting again. When you're doing your prospecting, be very judicious of what you put in there as a prospect, as a lead. Have standards for your leads. That way, when you're doing your lead follow-up, you know that the people you're dealing with are motivated, okay? So, for example, think about it this way. You're prospecting, okay? However you got your lead, whether it be Z-Buyer, Mojo, RedX, however you got your lead. And then you find a person that says, I want to do something and I want to do it the next week or 2 weeks or whatever. And they fit a standard that you set for yourself. When you call back the next day or the day after that or the day after that or however often you call them, it's going to be good for your spirit because I have got to talk to that person. That person says they want to do something today. I got to call them. I got to call them right now. On the other hand, if you talk to a person who has very little desire and you have low standards, okay, and you let them into your lead follow-up system and they have low motivation or low ability and you keep trying to talk them because you have this egotistical thought that you can convince someone to sell, then it's going to become even harder for you to go ahead and do anything of value, and it's going to make it even harder for you to continue to do it. Okay? Next, lead follow-up. Remember that lead cards, okay, have no value. Okay? Lead cards, when I say lead cards, I mean like a 3x5, 3x5 card that you wrote down their name and number, or just leads in general. They have no value. Okay? They have no value. You can't take a lead card with a person's name and phone number and an address on it down and pay your electrical bill. Okay? You can't take that person's name and number, go down and buy groceries. Okay? It's simply a name on a piece of paper. That is all it is. Okay? Only motivated Here's that word again. Motivated, okay, and qualified people have any value, okay? You can't take them down and pay your bill, but you can say, look, Joe Blow and Sue Smith are going to list their home by the end of the week. Who do you know who's going to do something like that by the end of the week? Now, don't tell me you don't, because you do. You know someone. If you're prospecting or working in this marketplace, you know someone just as well as I do who's going to do something within the next week. It may be 1, it may be 10, but you know at least one. Your job is to simply go out and follow up with them. Now remember that leads do not, okay, leads do not equal security. They do not equal security in the business, okay? Because everybody has your leads. You know, it's not one of those situations where, you know, I've got a lead and you don't. I know about this one person who says they're going to sell their home and you don't. You know, it's not like you're going through the grocery store and the checkout girl says, oh, you're a realtor? Oh, that's great. You know, I'm thinking about selling my house, okay? You think, oh, that's great. I got my own lead and nobody knows about it yet. That's not true. She's told the other 4 or 5 realtors that came through there already, okay? Or worse, she's already told the bag boy who is a realtor, let him know too. You need to follow up with these leads because they do not equal security, all right? Don't overprotect the leads. Don't overprotect them, okay? Don't overprotect them by putting them into fancy computer systems or thing like that, okay? Don't overprotect them, okay? You need to go ahead and overcall them. The more motivated they are, the more aggressive the agent they want, okay? They want somebody who's going to be aggressive. How many times have you lost a lead because you overcalled them? I'd be willing to bet that you've lost more leads through lack of calling them than you ever did by calling them too much. That's what I would propose to you. Now the thing is, you can't lose 3 listings to try and get 1. All right, the higher the quality of the lead, all right, the higher the quality of the lead, the less time you have to spend working on it. So for example, guy says to you, I'm going to list my home or sell a home or buy a home or whatever in 1 week. Okay, great example. I have a person right now that is a lead that I'm following up on. They say they're going to list their home within 1 week. I was supposed to meet them Saturday. She got sick, okay, so I have to meet them sometime this week. But they're leaving town on February 5th. So the thing is, February 5th, one way or the other, it's going to be over. They're going to list with me or they're going to list with somebody else. The trick is, okay, because the short period of time, I don't have to work with them very much. But if there is a person who says that they want to buy something, okay, within the next 2 months, which one is the better quality lead? The better quality lead is the person who has to do something in the shortest period of time. And the better the quality lead, the less time I have to spend working with them. So that's something you want to remember, okay, because you don't want to lose 3 leads or 3 deals because you're working on 1. In the time that you spend working with that person who's going to do something in 2 months, you could have found 3 people who are going to do something by the 5th. Keep that in mind, okay? Remember, whatever time they tell you that they're going to do something, cut it in half. So if they say, well, we're going to buy something within the next 2 months, okay? Treat it as though they're going to buy something in 1 month. If they say, call us back in 2 weeks, we're going to start interviewing people at that time, call them back in 1 week. Call in half the time. Because people, they have a strange sense about what it is time means. As a for sale by owner, they think to themselves, well, we're going to give ourselves until March 1st to make this happen. And then really come about the middle of February, whew, man, this is ridiculous. I'm tired of this. And the whole time, okay, I've been following up with them, or you've been following up with them, or whatever. And then the other Joe Blow agent just calls them back in the first part of March. Guess what? You've been having that relationship with them. You've had that rapport. You've had these meetings. You've had these touches, if you will. And now you're in a position where you can actually go ahead and make it happen. Okay? So keep it those time in half. Number K, I should say. Keeping excessive leads, okay? Keeping excessive leads is no different than having a geographic farm. If you've been in the business for a number of years, you'll remember that farming is where you would take a neighborhood and then you would go ahead and mail to those people over and over. You would knock on the door, give them a pumpkin at Halloween time, maybe give them a recipe cards, things of that nature, and you would ask them if they wanted to do business. Keeping excessive leads is no different than that. If they told you today, no, we don't want to do anything right yet, we want to do it 2 months from now. And then you talk to the next person, they said, well, no, we're going to do something right after Billy gets out of high school in May. And the next person says, no, we're going to do something, towards the middle of next year. No, you just hear this over and over and over again. How is that any different than a farm? It's not. It is no different. And by keeping these people here in your lead follow-up system is going to ensure poverty for you, because you're spending too much time looking for these. Remember, Mike says that the best lead follow-up tool that you can have, okay, is a large trash can next to your desk, okay? If you're prospecting on a regular basis, if you're working like you say you're going to do, okay, you're going to generate so many leads, all right, it won't even make sense. You're going to throw them away because there's more squirrels than there are nuts to eat them, okay? Or I should say there are more nuts than there are squirrels to eat them, okay? Finishing up here really quick, I have to call each lead. This should be your goal, okay? I have to call each lead at the exact moment that they decide they're going to do something. That's a tall order. You have to call them the exact moment that they're sitting down and saying, you know what? We're tired of being a for sale by owner. This is not working. We're not getting any kind of activity at all that we had hoped for. We're not getting any kind of calls. Our home is not selling. We need to get a good realtor out here. We need to be able to contact them at the exact moment that they say they're going to do something. The exact moment they decide they're going to buy. The exact moment they decide that they're going to sell. And the exact time that they say they're ready to interview a powerful agent like yourself. So I hope this has been of help to you. Anyway, thanks for talking, and we'll see you soon. Bye.